Hey guys, how you doing? This is Manga Setra here today to bring you the review for One Punch Man episode number 4. So, for me personally, I think that this episode wasn't as humorous as the previous episodes, but what we don't get in humor, we are now getting in depth. The first episode was a standalone episode, the second and third episode linked together, and now I think we're going to get a longer link of episodes. This is what I mean with the whole more in depth thing. This episode introduced two new characters. Moomin Rider, who's an official hero who's signed with the Hero Association, and he's actually a loser. He's actually a waste man, a loser, weak. He goes to deal with today's episode's main villain, and he just easily gets wiped out. Like, we didn't even get to see him, but we see him put up his fighting stance. And the next thing you know, he's on the floor bleeding. I'm like, wow. Even down to his bike. His bike looks loser. It's just not your typical road bike. You know, we got a stance down like this. I've got one of those. It's got a little one with a basket in the front. I was like, who is this loser? And then in the end of the episode, he's getting all the fame and praise, kind of like Hercule. So this guy is like a brave Hercule. That's what we can call him for now, a brave Hercule, because he was not afraid to fight, and he's so far been shown as the weakest character, and he's probably gonna like keep that title as, you know, the weakest of the series. You know, like in the Straw Hats we have Usopp, and you know, I can't think of any other more examples, but he just seems like he's gonna be the weak character. So the next new character that was introduced to in this episode was Sonic. Sonic is a bodyguard for hire, and he is the first person to do substantial damage to this episode's villain and crew. So just to go on about the villain for a minute. So Hammerhead, who's the leader of this crew, is a B class villain. So we have classes for the villains, and when Hammerhead's a B class, we find out that he's wearing this battle suit, and these are prototype battle suits, and all his crew got these battle suits as well, and they're prototype battle suits, in which we later on find gives you superhuman strength. So we have Sonic now. Like I said previously, he's the first one to come across this crew and do damage. He quickly cuts off the heads of all the crew members and just has a fairly easy time dealing with Hammerhead himself. They do have a little fight where Hammerhead clearly states that he can't deal with the speed, but he is able to come up with a plan to try and deal with Sonic, but it was just, at the end of the day, it wasn't good enough, and he would have died at the hands of Sonic if it wasn't for his thick skull, which does save him multiple times within the episode. So having fought Sonic and lost, Hammerhead does get away, and this is where Hammerhead meets Saitama, who has hopped into things. He heard about the situation on the news and is like, oh, I'm not going to bother with that. The only reason why he gets involved is for a personal reason, and that is because everyone in the Hammerhead's crew is bold, and he doesn't want to be seen as a villain, so he's like, yo, I've got to get rid of these guys before they give me a bad reputation. So when Saitama and Hammerhead come to terms, they get into a fight as well, and yeah, this is where we find out that these suits give superhuman strength, and Saitama was easily able to take a punch from the suit, which gives superhuman strength. The prototype gives superhuman strength, and so that leads me to think that Saitama's strength is inhuman. Is that better than superhuman being inhuman? But that's what I'm going for. So you easily see Saitama deal with Hammerhead. He gives the suit one elbow and it breaks, and then Saitama tells Hammerhead to just go, stop being bad and just go get out of my sight. So moving on to Sonic versus Saitama, which was by far the best bit of the episode. We see Sonic going full out against Saitama. We find this, and this is where we find out that Sonic has been training since childhood in a ninja village, just honing his skills, and we find out that he says that his movements can beat the speed of sound, but his alias is speed of sound Sonic. So I'm going to say that he can move at the speed of sound, but what is definitely clear is that he can move faster than the eye can perceive, because we see that the Hammerhead's crew and Hammerhead himself couldn't keep up with his movements, and these are essentially normal human beings. So yeah, back to the fight, we see Sonic just going full speed blitz around Saitama, and Saitama is easily able to keep up with these movements. Now, I want to say that because Saitama was doing this casually, Saitama can move faster than the speed of sound. Is that pushing it? I don't know, but it was very nice to see just him keep up with his movements quite easily. You know, he caught the kunai, and then I thought the sword was gonna hit his eye, but I thought the sword was gonna break off on his eye, but that wasn't the case. He caught the sword as well, and he broke it as well. And just after the little skirmish between Sonic and Saitama, Sonic is like, "Yo, I need to get stronger, and when I do get stronger, I'm coming back to beat you." So basically, there's a one-sided rivalry between Sonic and Saitama now. So just the last thing I want to talk about is Genos. Genos did make an appearance. He made two appearances in this episode. The first one was to find out how Genos is getting repairs by the doctor, and the doctor is there saying that how I'm working on some improvements for you, and with these improvements, you'll be able to surpass Saitama. Now, for the doctor to say that, he would have to know Saitama's strength, which shouldn't be the case because it hasn't been said that they meet up. So it's a bit far-fetched to think that Genos will be able to surpass Saitama with these improvements when he gets them. But it is something to look forward to, because if it is possible, you get gas because you know how strong Saitama is because of what you've seen, and if it is possible for him to get stronger with these improvements, it gets you gas, and that's why that scene was good. But it may not be the case because we know that the doctor doesn't know Saitama's limits, and that's the thing. I've forgotten the word, but like that's the problem with this, with him saying that. The other thing we see with Genos is at the very end of the episode, where we find out that Saitama is very depressed about how no one knows him. He's been doing all this hero work for 3 years and no one knows him, which I do find a bit odd, because 3 years, even without being a registered hero, someone should recognize your work and realize what you're doing, and you should have like a small fan club, if not a big. It doesn't have to be a big one, but you should have had a small one. And you know, certain heroes should know of him, because he has taken out villains that, like in the first episode when we see the two heroes just there on the floor, like word about Saitama should be out there. But at the end of the episode, yeah, we see him. He's decided that he's going to register as a hero, because he didn't know that he had to register to be a hero. So we see him doing that, and Genos is going to do that as well, because he didn't feel the need to do it beforehand. So at the end of the episode, a new organization comes into play. We've seen them come to kill Hammerhead because he stole the battle suits that he was rocking. Him and his crew was rocking were stolen from this organization, and they've come to kill him, but they failed, but they don't know that. But the most important thing about this scene is that we find out that these experimental battle suits that Hammerhead and his boys are rocking maintain data. So now this new organization has data on Saitama and Sonic. So this is what I was going on saying earlier about how it looks like we're going into a new link of episodes, of this one being the first one. So what is this new organization packing? But these two guys, it seem like they are also rocking battle suits, maybe of a higher grade. So like, yeah, what is to come now? It seems like we're really getting into the things. It seems like things are gonna finally become serious. So just to summarize everything that I've said, so this episode was less humorous. We had Hammerhead, a B-class villain, who was just basically fighting for equality. He didn't want to work no more, so he was trying to make things better for people who didn't want to work. His motto was, well, not his motto, but his views were those that don't want to work shouldn't have to work, but should still be supported. We was introduced to Newman the biker, weak loser of a hero, but he's a registered hero. We was also introduced to Sonic, a bodyguard for hire, who has now made a rival out of Saitama, and so it can move at the speed of sound. Well, it's not confirmed, but he can move very, very fast. Is it possible for Genos to get stronger than Saitama with these upgrades that the Doctor is working on? And it seems that now Saitama and Genos are becoming registered heroes, possibly because so the story can move on further. So I'm going to follow Trent and give this episode a 3.5 star rating. But like always, guys, I'm asking for your thoughts and opinions. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And most importantly, take care. Have a nice day.